All right. Hey, GovCon Giants family. Hey, everyone out there. Welcome to today's special show. We've got with our guest, Ryan Atencio. And Ryan, just to give you some background, I remember him on YouTube making lots and lots of comments on our channel. And today we have the honor and the privilege of talking about something that is dear and near to Ryan's heart, helping veterans. And Brandon give you a little bit of his backstory and how we came to the conversation about what we're doing today, and how you, as a veteran or somebody with military access, is going to benefit significantly from what Ryan's going to share with us. So, Ryan, tell us a little bit about your background.
All right. Thank you for having me, Eric. Hi, everybody. My name is Ryan Atencio, owner of Radium GovCon. I'm a government contracting consultant, and I help businesses win contracts with the federal government. So I did 12 years in the Army, mostly in special operations. And my last few years in the Army, I did contracts and acquisitions. So I was the customer, I was the end user responsible for buying all professional services and supplies for my entire special operations unit. So I developed all salient characteristics, performance work statements, statement of work, did all technical evaluation. I conducted all source selection, and I was the COR, or contract officer representative, for everything, tens of millions of professional services and supplies. And that's how I know what I know. I left the Army in 2021, came over to the other side of the table, and started selling directly to special operations up in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And so that's basically where my knowledge comes from. I've been a customer, I've been an end user, and then I've sold directly to the government. And now I help companies mostly in professional services, but I also help them provide material solutions or supplies in conjunction with their services to the federal government, mainly DoD and special operations is where I specialize. But that's a little bit about me.
So, Ryan, tell me about this particular graph that we're looking at. Innocent Marketplace, customer, you, the prime. Can you explain that to people? We could just jump right in.
Yeah, so what we're looking at here is a graphic from our course, right? And our course is focused on selling supplies directly to DoD end users, right? Kind of like what I was. Not a contract officer that you see at the top, right? That's not the customer. A lot of people don't know that the contract officer is not the customer, all right? They're kind of the man in the middle, responsible for all of the contract administration, all the competition. But before it ever gets to the contracting officer, it has to be developed by the customer, the end user, the people at the unit, the soldiers, the airmen, sailors, whoever who actually need these supplies. All right. And then at the bottom right, that's where you fit in. You would be considered a prime because you're going after contracts yourself. But as a veteran, and if you're either retired or you're service disabled, I believe even 10%, you have access to DoD military installations. All right. So you have access to the largest customer in the world. And whether it's you going directly or selling for another large business, because those large businesses, they don't necessarily have access to the federal government. They don't have access to the largest customer in the world, but veterans do. All right. And the course goes over how to leverage your access to go directly to government end users and customers and capture opportunities, develop them, kit them, and push them to certain contracting vehicles. So essentially you're going to, it's the opportunities kind of in the bag. They're not coming out on sam.gov. They're going to existing contracts, and they're just going to be bought as a task order. And that's how the majority of money is spent in the federal government.
Okay. So let's just stop right there, because I know we've got a lot of veterans going to be watching this, and they're going to be wondering what are the first steps that they should be doing, right? So I'm listening to you, Ryan, right? I'm going to pull up this slide. I put this slide up on the screen. Hold on. All right. So now let's go through, Ryan, and for the veterans and people who don't have such a knowledge like you have this, what's considered a supply and advantage of selling them versus services?
All right. So basically, when it comes to government contracting, there's either supplies, commodities if you're uppity, right? Supplies, professional services, construction. Those are the three contracting types. Okay. Just think of it as supplies are an infinite, never-ending need. All right. A lot of the opportunities for professional services that you see on sam.gov, those are actually much fewer and farther between than these supply contracts. Supplies are in constant, never-ending need. And when you think of supplies, don't think of like pens, paper, notebooks, printer ink. Those are supplies, yes. But the supplies I teach people how to start, it could be epoxy floors, storage solutions for warehouses, modular buildings, video conferencing systems, office furniture, fitness equipment, any type of access control, magnetic badge readers, eyeball scanners, automatic gates, magnetic lock gates. Anything that's a thing is a supply, right? And you want to sell expensive supplies. So just remember, supplies are an infinite, never-ending need. All right, they're way more frequent than what you see on sam.gov coming out to bid as a professional service. Those are much fewer and farther between because those are a lot harder for the customer or the end user to put together. So for the customer or end user, like I was, your average soldier who just needs something bought over the $10,000 GP government credit card threshold, it's difficult to get a service on contract. It's a lot more paperwork, whereas supplies are a lot easier and faster for the government to buy. And so that's what you're taking advantage of, is leveraging your access, going directly to these customers, to these end users with your access, because you're a veteran, and capturing their requirement, throwing into a kit or a custom part number, basically developing these custom solutions and passing it back to them and telling them where to go send it, which is already existing contracting vehicles that already exist, that are fast and easy. They're built for them to buy quickly.
So let's talk through that. So the person on a comment was saying, okay, how is that considered? How do you take that and give it to a sole source direct award to me? How does that, as me, the person that goes out to the customer, how does that turn into a direct sole source award?
Well, it actually goes out full and open competition. But what happens, okay, that a lot of people don't know about is when you capture that requirement first, all right, you're providing them the quote, whatever it is they want. Say it's, $200,000 worth of storage equipment, maybe $120,000 epoxy floor with a couple forklifts. I mean, you could call that, an expeditionary, storage solution. Part number 1, 2, 3, 4, manufacturer, your business. You're taking multiple commercial off-the-shelf products and you're combining them into a custom part number, right? And you give it a very vague description, and that helps the customer get brand name, sole source, basically whatever it is they want, brand name, they're going to get. They don't have to worry about getting hit with cheap substitutes. You can combine an enormous amount of line items into one easy to submit line item, right? Where you're the manufacturer, you're the one putting all this stuff together. You're a kitter, an integrator. And so basically they submit your part number out to bid. In which case, if nobody knows what that part number is, it's really hard for them to bid it.
Gotcha. Okay. No, I like that. So effectively, right, I'm going to go on a base. I'm going to talk to someone at the government, find out their requirements, their needs, right? I'm going to then, once I understand the requirements or needs, I'm going to help them find a price for that item.
Well, you're going to go to all the manufacturers, say they want brand name, certain pallet rack or storage solutions. All right, You're going to go to that representative for that company and say, hey, I have a government customer. They need the following, they have the following requirements. They have the following need. Maybe you have a picture chest height of an empty warehouse. Boom, give them the measurements and say, hey, give me a storage solution for this, this, and this. They're going to give you a price, right? But they also want 2 forklifts with it, right? So you'll go get quotes for forklifts, whatever they want, right? With charging station, whatever. You can call it a mobility unit, whatever you want. You're combining all of these items into one part number with a very short description, right? So basically only you know what it is and only the customer knows what it is.
Gotcha.
Right? So when that gets posted, when they submit it to go out full and open, well, they're just going to see modular storage solution, manufacturer, your company. Okay. Nobody knows that there's, $400,000 worth of pallet racks in there with 2 forklifts, with charging stations, on an epoxy floor. Nobody knows that. Only you know that because you created the part number.
Gotcha. No, that makes a lot of sense. So this is good. I like this. Now we're going to go on. We're going to talk to the government customer, the end user. We're going to find out what their needs are. We're going to go out to the manufacturer. We're going to get pricing for those items, right? And then once we have the pricing, then we're going to come back to the government and say, okay, we're going to put it together. We're going to give it a generic name, right, from XYZ company. Then the government's going to then buy it from that vehicle. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. You're going to submit your part number to that.
Yeah,
vehicle.
You submit your part number to that vehicle.
Gotcha. So everybody can see your part number, but no one is going to know what is in that part number.
Got you. Okay. Now, do you need any type of special certifications for this?
No, really just federal access. Gaining access to the customer is that is the top. Even some of the largest businesses out there, they can't just go onto a military installation and go directly to these end users, right? Skipping the contract officer, going straight to the end user. Very, very few. What they do is they hire veterans. And you can have installation access, but having this knowledge about the supply process, the customer's process, what they have to go to buy a supply versus service, how to kit things up into custom part numbers, how to quote, what language to have in your quote, what not to have in your quote. I mean, that's very fine details, definitely nitty gritty, but that's extremely valuable knowledge because that's how these things get bought, and this is billions and billions of dollars that never come out on SAM. They're going through already existing contract vehicles. And I'd say some of the bigger names in defense, they know how to do this. They know how to get to the customer, hire veterans who are just exiting the service, who can have access to the customer, getting all their requirements and basically handing them back into a kitted or custom part number. Some people call them skewing, putting it into a SKU or skewing it. Some people call it kitting, but you're putting everything into a package, a configuration, or a system. Sure. Multiple line items. You're trying to get everything in the kitchen sink, and that makes it a lot easier for the customer because they can just submit one line item, and they know everything that they want brand name is going to be in that kit.
All right, let me ask some basic questions. All right. Do you have to have government experience or past performance to do this?
No.
Okay. Do you have to be registered in SAM to do this?
To go after, yes, you do. To go after the opportunities or for them to post opportunities on Unison, yes, you do. But DLA, TLS, no.
Okay. All right. Good. So that's fine. SAM, yes. Experience, no. Past performance, no. Okay. How do we figure out what products to offer?
Well, basically, you want to offer high frequency or commonly bought items that are expensive. So okay. I provide lists and examples of those in the course, but we're talking things like modular buildings or storage solutions, video teleconference systems, office furniture is crazy expensive. Any type of security or access control systems, automatic gates. Gosh, if it's a thing, it is a supply. Just think of it that way. So it could be fuel pumps and fuel systems that are just, outrageous. Just try to get out of the mindset of, pen and paper. But when you think of supplies or material end items, that's what you're going after, these very high ticket items. Gotcha.
Real quick, I just want to insert the link below me takes you to the page where you can get more information about it. And also, if you want to have a call with us, you can set up to get a free call with us to go talk about this. So I just want to kind of let everybody know that if you look right here below my name, govconeric.com/vet is the link that'll take you there so you can get all the information and more if this is something that you think makes sense for you. All right, keep going. All right, how do you actually find the opportunities? Do you wait for the customer to come to you or do you reach out to the customer?
It's a combination of both. If you have access to the customer, there's a whole list of key personnel that I provide of target business development, people you're going to want to swing by to introduce yourself to, drop off information, your capabilities, what you provide, while simultaneously you're going to go through You're also going to market to their contracting office so that so those contract officers know when they get a requirement from your customers dropped on their desk and they need market research, which is just a quote. Anything the government wants to buy, you have to have market research for, or a quote. All it is a quote. You can't just ask for something without a number attached to it. So basically, that's kind of where you're getting in there directly to that requirement, straight from the customer, and you're capturing it, and you're putting a custom part number on that. And that's, more or less the gist. There's a lot of nuance to it, a lot of steps to it, to do it correctly. And that's essentially what I teach. But you're going to be going direct, and then there's also an indirect method. But I recommend both, because visibility is a big part of government contractor business in general.
What about, do they need a capability statement for it, or capabilities flyer?
You want a product or supply focused capability statement, yes.
Okay.
Which I provide multiple examples of. The really good, effective ones. A lot of them from when I was sitting in the buyer seat, the ones that I like that spoke to me. And then I also know from sitting on this side of the table, I know the ones that work pretty well as well. But yes, all that's included.
Okay. How much interaction do you have to have with the military base or end user?
Well, you want as much as humanly possible, right? Because very few people are really getting in front of a government end user and selling. You're going to be one of the few, because just people have no clue, what this is, except for like the larger primes. And that's obviously something they'll keep to themselves, because they always want direct control of the customer, right? Even if they subcontract everything out, that customer relationship that they build, that is always theirs, and that's always protected. So you'll always hit a wall, even as a subcontractor, where you're not going to be getting directly to the customer. But if you're a veteran, you have the same access, because that's all these larger companies do, is hire veterans, right? Because of their access. So that's basically what I'm teaching people how to leverage, because it's not just something that large defense contractors can do. It's not a unique capability. I'm just showing you how they do it and how they make a lot of money doing this.
Okay, cool. Someone says, how and where do you get that customized part number from?
Well, you generate it.
So you make it up.
Yeah, you're gonna make it up.
You're gonna make the part number up.
You're going to create a custom part number based off your customer's wants and needs.
Okay, there you go. So that's the answer. So you create your own custom part number. That's why it's called custom. You make it yourself, and then you give it to them. But because you create the part number, the general public's not going to have it, even though this item is listed on publicly available websites. No one's going to know what it means. All right. Next question. How do you get the manufacturer distributors to agree to sell you, since they already have cage code and they can go around you and sell direct to the government?
Well, it's actually a lot of these companies, they do not have somebody with access selling directly to the government and going and developing this business. Okay, I'm gonna
piggyback what Ryan said. So for the user who has that question, remember what Ryan said is that you're going to be putting together multiple items in a bundle that you're selling to the government. So even if, let's say, in your brain, because I know a lot of people who start out think somebody's going to go around them, even if, let's say, you were doing what Ryan said was storage racks. So let's use storage racks as an example. So let's say you were selling a storage rack. Well, inside of your part number includes cabinets, pallet trucks, right? Storage bins, and also cargo. So even if the person sells the mezzanine part, they don't know that this is also included, this is included, this is included, because you put together a custom part number that includes multiple things, not just the one item that someone sells. So that is the benefit of this, is that no one actually knows what's all included, because in that custom part could be 5 items, 10 items, 12 items, right, Ryan? And so ultimately, since you built it, no one can go around you and steal it, because they don't know what's even included in that price. So whatever their pricing is based, they don't have any information, because remember, you made the part number. So it doesn't exist anywhere else. Because if your part number is, like you said, you can put your name on it, right, Ryan?
It's going to be your
So
business name. Yeah.
you can put your business name. So you can put Radium GovCon 865. No one will know that that's you. And they won't know that that's tied to mezzanine, storage racks, pallet trucks, and cables. So good question, though. I appreciate that. So again,
and another thing to mention, Eric, is for the government to buy something they want brand name. All right, they say you want Snap-on tools. You can't just go say I want these Snap-on tools. Okay, it has to be competed full and open, and you're open to substitutes, basically cheaper substitutes. So that was something that was really frustrating for me as a buyer. Is like, hey, we want these Snap-on tool sets. Like $400,000 worth of these Snap-on tool sets. All right, well, you can't really ask for that. You have to give the salient characteristics for what it is you need, the specifications, the metal type, the hardness. I mean, all of the really nitty gritty details. And that's basically what you post out to bid. So even though we want Snap-on tools, right, normally you have to get a brand name justification to get something like that, which your contract officer is not going to give that to you. For not 99% of the time, I'd say no, because it's not justified. There's probably stuff out there way cheaper that does the same thing as Snap-on tools, right? But the customer wants Snap-on tools. That's just what you want. It's not that easy to just go straight to the manufacturer and buy what you want. It doesn't work like that. It has to be competed. So what happens is you're going to get hit with cheap substitutes that are technically acceptable, right? On paper, on this salient characteristic document, they're going to submit it on Unison or whatever as a cheap substitute. And it's going to say equal to or greater than. Okay. And if that's the case, and I can't justify why it's not technically acceptable, I have to go with that cheap substitute. I have to. I can't just say, no, they're not Snap-on, so they're not technically acceptable. We want Snap-on. It's like, no. They meet all the salient characteristics that you requested, and it even says here they exceed, Snap-on tools, which a lot of people just type that in their salient characteristic document and submit it, even though it's cheaper Chinese made products or what have you. So it's not the customer would have to go with that cheap substitute that is greater than or equal to, it's technically acceptable. All right. And then that gets very frustrating because if your unit uses Snap-on tools, they always have for 20 years, and you just need new Snap-on tools, there's not an already existing contract for it. It's very difficult to get that because of the cheap substitutes. But if you're going out and getting all the brand name components that the customer wants, okay, all those components are components to the end item or the part number that you create. So all of those have to be, it has to include all the brand name things. They can't just break apart your kit and put in cheap substitutes for whatever configuration or system or package you put together, whatever you want to call your kit. It has to be everything. So not only does it combine a ton of line items that the customer doesn't have to submit individually and get hit with cheap substitutes, it combines them all into one line item, and it gives them brand name exactly what they want. So it helps the customer tremendously. It helped me tremendously. But that's just an aside.
I like that. So real quick now, just for those people that are joining us. So I'm the prime. I go to the customer, right? They tell me all of the things that they want, the brand names. Okay. They give me the requirements. We create a part number, right? Post it on Unison, and then it gets competed publicly. But because no one knows that part number, effectively, no one can really bid it because no one knows what the part number means.
Correct.
And then we win. All right.
So or you can take an even more passive route. And when they post that on Unison, they're going to see the part number. They're going to see you listed as the manufacturer. So everybody can see that. So you're probably going to get a lot of phone calls from people saying, hey, can you provide me a price for this part number or this kit and configuration? Right. And they might try to find out what's inside of it so that they can go price it out separately. But you just give them a price for the configuration, the system. They don't know what it is. That's why they have to call you to get a price in the first place, because they're going to be like, wow, what is that? All right. And they're just sitting on Unison scalping, whatever comes out, they call, get a price, add 5% onto it and submit it. So obviously any price that you give people, you're going to give them, $30,000 higher than what you're about to submit. Or you could just, give everybody the same price, not even bid, and then let them fight it out amongst themselves.
Oh, wow. So there's a lot of things. So effectively since you developed this relationship and you developed the requirement, you're now in control of what happens next.
That's the key part. That's the key part. You know, it's for products and services. If you can get to the customer first, capture their requirement, provide them their quotes for their market research, which they have to have, you have a lot of influence in that requirement. So if you're really good, you're not going to lose control over that requirement, whether it's a service or
are these things different size in terms of values, like 5,000, 50,000, kind of, what kind of ranges are we talking about?
It's going to be anything over the credit card threshold of $10,000 has to go to contract. Okay. If it's going to be on Unison Marketplace, it needs to be under $250,000 because that's Unison Marketplace that operates off the simplified acquisition threshold of $250,000, which hopefully the government bumps that to like $1 million. But it's a very simplified process that the end user can just make an account on Unison, go post whatever it is they want, and they can do $250,000 buys all day. Whereas if you push it to a different contract like DLA TLS or NASA SOUP, that's limitless.
Okay, so if it's under 250,000, above 10, we put it on Unison. Above that, we put it on a different platform. Okay.
Yes.
Kevin says, if I were to go tomorrow to visit an office, where's the best office to go visit if I went to a base tomorrow? CEU?
Oh, no. Well, CEU would be one of them. That would be one of them. That's for civil engineering. That's Coast Guard. So they're all the bases have kind of different names and acronyms, but they're the same people. Groups of engineers, Department of Public Works, whatnot. I mean, those are definitely people you want to hit up for maintenance, repair, operation items, but then also going directly to the customer, the soldiers, and providing them what they need. Anything from equipment, security, an extra building, whatever. Your scope is wide.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, Kevin, hope that answered your question. Well, no, Ryan, this is great. I put on there for everyone out here, if you've got questions about any of this stuff, this is the first time that we've ever done any type of program as it relates to products before. And I couldn't think of a better person to do it than Ryan, because again, he came from the government side. Now he's coming back to show us on the other side how to create these opportunities that, to be honest with you, this is something I can't do because I don't have access to a military base. And so this is really something, again, that's why we say veterans or people who've got access to bases, because you're going to be going out, cultivating these relationships, and then creating these opportunities for yourself. Ryan, do you have any success stories already that you can maybe share with us?
Oh yeah, I do. I mean, if they're okay with me putting their name out there.
Well, you don't have to say their name, but I mean, you could.
Yeah,
you just I do. Kind of like a story. You don't have to say their name.
Well, I'd say my best one out of several is a gentleman down in Miami. He called me. I used to teach people how to do this through consulting calls, but he called me out right outside of the gate of the Miami Coast Guard and said, "Hey, I'm here. Came in, you're going to want to pay for a call for this. You don't just roll in there guns blazing." So he just swiped his card and right there at the gate, and we did an hour right there, and I walked him through everything. And he's not a veteran. He still got on the installation. And man, he ran into a civil engineering unit, and it was from April to the next May, year and a half. He did 3 million. He closed 3 million in business and products. That's not profit. That's 3 million. He had another 3 million teed up, ready to go in quotes that were already ready to be pushed to existing contracting vehicles. The guy's already hired 4 people. I mean, that was 1 year, but I knew he would do good because he's a people person, and he showed up. Like, he did not care if he was a veteran or not. He showed up at the gate and was like, "Hey, I'm about to do this." And that's a really big part of it is people skills and go-getter attitude.
And the other thing was he was able to find a finance company that was able to finance those product deals. So he didn't have any capital. He didn't have any cash. Yeah. But what he didn't do was he didn't sit back and he asked for permission. He didn't wait for somebody to tell him that this was possible. He believed in what we were teaching and what we were talking about, and he invested in himself and took a chance. So, I mean, I always say that to people that are always on the edge about things. It's like they're sitting back and they're waiting for the right opportunity, like this will come around again. And I mean, it's just kind of not how things work all the time, because now he's already got those relationships. He's already built in. So the people who start to develop those relationships early now, those customers are going to call you and they're going to be doing business with you, not the next person. So you can wait around and then hope like, okay, next time I'll be ready. But if someone else is already in there taking advantage of this, I mean, I can say kind of like this reminds me of when I first came on YouTube 7 years ago. I mean, today there's a lot of people on YouTube talking about government contracts. This is kind of like that for me because no one is talking about this anywhere publicly. And so we're going to be teaching the first groups of people how to do this. And they're going to be the ones that are going to reap the biggest benefits, kind of like what Bitcoin is today. Everyone wishes they would have bought Bitcoin back then. Easy to say after Bitcoin hits 120,000, hard to say when Bitcoin was at 22 cents. So that's my analogy for everybody is like, once, this guy, we already said did 6 million, you see 2 or 3 of your people doing $5 to $6 million. You're going to say, what are you doing there? I guarantee no one's going to tell you what they're doing because it doesn't make any sense because this truly is a limited opportunity because it's going to be localized to your bases, to the facilities that you're close to. So unlike the things that I've been teaching, which are wide open all over the country, this is going to be very localized opportunities. So if you are close to any of these types of facilities, what type of facilities are we talking about, Ryan?
Any DoD installation, installation. I mean, it could be Coast Guard, Army, Navy, Marine Corps, but then it's not just limited to that. You get Department of Homeland Security, Border Patrol. It works for. I focus on DoD, but it works for anything federal, because a lot of them use the same contracting vehicles, and contracting is above Army, Navy. It's its own process, and it all rhymes for all of them.
Gotcha. No, I love it. That's great. So we'll be coming back on. Hopefully, I don't know if there's any more questions anybody has for us today. I did want to have Ryan come up and kind of just share some insight in terms of, what we've got going on, what we're putting out there. Ryan's launching his first cohort, and I was actually one that encouraged him to put this together into a formal training system. I just found that, what it's done for me, helping people, has been tremendous. And so I'd like to help more people. We've done that through all of our trainings. So we've got thousands of success stories now on the other side. So I can imagine we could do some of the same thing. So Kevin, how do you sign up? The link is below me. Just click govconeric.com/vet. This is the page that it takes you to right here on the screen. I'll put it back up again. You'll get to this page and then click get instant access. So this starts, we pushed it back to the end of July. So you got a couple weeks. You'll see us talking about it on emails. You'll see us talking about a Federal Help Center. And we look forward to launching our first cohort for our product course. So we're excited. I know Ryan's excited. And I can't wait because, it's special because anytime we do things for veterans, it just really, always feels special because a lot of people out there want to support veterans. So, for us, this is finally an opportunity that, to be honest with you, like you said, Carl did it, but most of the time, a regular person's not going to try to get on a military installation. So it's not a normal thing that regular people typically try to do. So,
and same with veterans, I got to throw in there, like they have a lot of value with their experience, with their access to the largest customer in the world. They just don't know that, and they don't know how to leverage it.
Yeah. So that's one thing Ryan's really good at, right? Is if you're a veteran, like, how to talk to other people that are in the military, whereas I don't know what to say. I don't know ranks. I don't know order. Ryan said some words to me today. I didn't know what he meant, so you said some word. What did you say? I forgot the words you said to me today.
I said, push me
my his product. I don't know what it meant. So, but hey, like I said, excited, happy to share this with everyone today. If you have any questions, these are our numbers on the screen. Send us an email, give us a call, and then we'll happy to talk to you. And also, if you are thinking about government contracting, you can click here. Visit govconeric.com/call for a free assessment, and someone from our team will talk to you about your journey. Even if this particular program doesn't make sense for you because you're not a veteran or you're not a people person, again, we still, we do a lot of teaching, lots of training as well. But today we want to focus on this particular group of individuals so that we want to help them today. So that's what we did. Ryan, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, Eric.
All right. Thanks. See ya.